Hello everyone, I hope you had a lovely relaxing half term. So I'm going to introduce you to this week's writing task, and I'd like you to meet these two characters on my screen. This is Mr. and Mrs. Frog. And for this week's writing task, we're going to be writing a conversation between these two characters. Now to do this, I'd like us to think about three different sentence types. We're going to look at questions, statements, and commands. So let's just have a quick recap of what these three sentences might look like. So at the top of your screen, you'll see that I've written a statement. The dog was growling. Statements tell somebody something. They usually start with a capital letter and they will end with a full stop. The middle one is a question. It says, "Why is your bedroom so messy?" Questions will start with a question word like what, who, how, where, or when, and they usually end with a question mark. The last one is a command. Go and brush your teeth. Commands are sentences that tell someone to do something. They usually start with an imperative verb. We might call this a bossy verb, and they usually end with a full stop or an exclamation mark, depending on how bossy you want to be. So the task that I would like you to do is to use these three sentences to create dialogue between the two characters. That means that they're having a conversation and one person's going to speak to the other. So the first one we're going to do is a question. I'd like you to write a question for Mr. Frog. Remember, your question should start with a capital letter and end with a question mark to show me that it's a question. So, for example, I might say, have, that's a great question word to start with. You remembered the passports, and then remember to put that question mark on the end. That's a really important question when you're going on holiday. You won't get very far if you're leaving the country without your passport. So Mr. Frog is asking Mrs. Frog, have you remembered the passports? That's our question. The next part here is a statement. So Mrs. Frog needs to reply to the question with a statement. So she's got to tell him something. Now make sure it links back to your question, else your dialogue isn't going to make any sense. So Mrs. Frog might say, they are in my handbag. Full stop. Okay, she is telling him where the passports are. So that sentence is a statement. They are in my handbag. And then the last part of the dialogue needs to be your command. So Mr. Frog's going to have to use his bossy voice now. And he's going to answer with a command. So far we've got, have you remembered the passports? They're in my handbag. Mr. Frog is going to say, pass them to me. Full stop. It's not too bossy, so I'm just going to use a full stop. But you can see I've started with my verb, pass. He's asking her to do something. In fact, he's telling her to do something because this is a command. Pass them to me. I'm going to make it a bit nicer because he seems a bit grumpy at the moment. You could say, I'll pop them in my pocket. There we go. It's nice and simple this week. You've only got to write 3 different parts of the conversation, but you must make sure that you start with a question, then you follow that with a statement, and then you follow that with a command sentence. Okay? Right, have fun, off you go.